Hello everyone, and welcome to this video on how to author your own tutorials in MakeCode from Microbit. Tutorials are these activities you find on the first line in the home screen. We're going to show you how to write them and how to publish them and share them. This activity is happening in the beta editor of MakeCode, which is makecode.microbit.org/beta, because some of the authoring features have not been released. But the tutorials created here will be usable in the main editor. Tutorials in MakeCode are authored in Markdown, which is a wiki language, and they can be authored directly in the MakeCode editor. So go ahead and create a new project if you need to, or if you already have a project, you can open that one. And I'm going to rename this project to Microbit Tutorials. Tutorials are going to be stored in GitHub. GitHub is a popular website where developers store their code. So I'm going to click on the Octocat icon to create a tutorial here. If you haven't signed in yet, it'll ask you to sign in, and you may have to create an account. Now, if you're creating a new tutorial, go ahead and click Go Ahead to create the new repository in GitHub. This is where we're going to store all your code. It will allow you to also work on a different computer, to version your code, to do branching and stuff like that. It takes a little bit of time the first time as we're adding a number of files, but once it's done, you'll see that you have a check mark and you're ready to go. Now, let's go back to how tutorials work. In MakeCode, tutorials are authored our Markdown file. So if you're in the JavaScript view, you'll see that you have the Explorer, which is a list of files in the project. And what we're going to do is add a new Markdown file for our tutorial, which I'm going to call microled.md. .md is the important bit which tells us it's a Markdown file. And as you can see, it's empty. And the way you're going to author a tutorial is you're going to author it in Markdown. Markdown is a wiki-like language. So in this language, for example, hashmark is a header 1 and hashmark 2 is going to be a header 2. Now, what is my tutorial? What am I trying to do? Well, let's go to the blocks, and what I like to do is go to the blocks and actually code the entire tutorial. And then once I have the whole code, I know the steps I did, and I break them down and create a tutorial. So in this case, what I want to do is have the LEDs randomly blink over the screen. So I'm going to have a toggle block, and I'm going to have a pick random block that's going to pick a random X position and a random Y position. Right, so that's pretty much my code. It does a very cool effect. It's very simple, and we're going to create a tutorial for that. Now, because I've coded in blocks, if I go into JavaScript, I have the JavaScript, which is great because I'm going to need it in my tutorial. So I'm going to copy that, copy, and go back to my tutorial Markdown page. And let's talk about how you write a tutorial. So hash is going to be header 2, and in the tutorial syntax, header 2 means a step. We also have this backtick block section, which is a block of code. So what we're going to do is have a sequence of header 2 steps with some text and some code. In this case, we're going to break down, say, drag the code to toggle and LED. I'm going to keep it kind of vague. Now this has all the code, which is what I don't want, but it acts as my template. So I'm going to say this is all the code. I'm going to keep it there when I'm working. So here I have too much code. What I'm going to do is kind of go back to the original version and see what it means. Now, how do I preview these changes? The first thing you can do is you can click here on the documentation pane, and it takes a few seconds for this pane to update, but it'll show you a rendering of your tutorial as a documentation page. And this is very helpful because, for example, you may have done a typing error. Let's do a little typing error here. And in that case, well, we will not be able to transform this TypeScript back into block. Now, if you look at the preview, you'll see that, well, something is wrong here, obviously. So go back to your code and kind of go ahead and fix it. Now, this is a preview as a documentation page, but you can also preview it as a full tutorial. And for that, you're going to go into the Explorer window and click on this lab icon, which is called Preview. And that opens the tutorial in a full tutorial mode. And you can see that it has the text, it has the tip looks good, it has a second step, but we know that we haven't done that yet, so we can stop, just close that tab and come back here. So now second step is going to be, I'm just going to copy all that and work my way through my steps. So second step is going to be randomize x. And in that case, I'm going to keep the randomize x and drag the code to pick a random x index between 0 and 4. We have a lot of documentation about the syntax of markdown. This makes this character look like a monospace font. And I'm going to actually copy the whole thing and do randomize y. Actually, no, this is going to be randomize y. There we go. So copy the description. And copy the description. So I have 3 steps. I think my code is correct. Again, what I can do is I can go here, look at all my steps quickly. They look pretty good. I can go and try out my tutorial end to end here. Step, tip, looks good, looks good, looks good, perfect. All right, so looks like it's pretty good. I now can go ahead and share it. In order to share my tutorial, I first want to go and upload it. So I'm going to click on make sure I've got all my changes that I've done to be pushed to GitHub. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that creates a commit and pushes it to GitHub, which means we're saving all our changes. And the MakeCode editor will be able to load that. And once I have that done, what I can do is I can click on this share icon. And this share icon is going to give me the URL that people have to use to launch the tutorial directly. So if I go in a new tab and I copy this URL, what you will see is the editor, instead of going to the home screen, is going to go directly into the tutorial mode. And you can see we're in the main editor, so the UI has changed a little bit, but everything looks like it is working very nicely. And that concludes this initial tutorial on how to create, author, and publish your own tutorials.